You are now listening to Get the Chip. Before we get into today's video, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to Get the Chip for new sports content every week. I know you've been seeing all this James Harden drama, man. James is clubbing. James is out with rappers. James is not showing up to practice. James is not wearing masks. What do you think about this, man? What's going to happen with him? Is he going to end up staying in Houston, or are they going to be forced to trade him?
See, I'm not a firm believer on the forced to trade situation for 99.9% of players. There's certain people where you just got to do it, but I don't think Houston has to, even though his money's guaranteed. I don't think Houston has to necessarily get rid of him just because he wants to, or even if he becomes disgruntled. And I also think that ownership, leadership, management at these teams are getting wise, and they're going to start taking back some of the power from these players and not just doing what they want them to do. Just because the players are frustrated, and not to say that their frustrations aren't warranted, but I just don't. I think it's going to happen less and less, where even a superstar like James Harden can force their way out of a situation. Because at the end of the day, it's still business. So, they're contractually obligated. And I feel like we talked about this off the air in the past, or maybe in one of our other conversations. But like, what do we see players do? They celebrate when they get the big deal. 2-3 years in, things are going the way that they envisioned, and now they want to act like the money that's on the table is not. It's not enough to be excited about. Which, again, if you're a player like James and you're trying to get a championship or whatever, I know we did talk about that, like how money doesn't eclipse wanting to be a champion, but at the same time, just business, man. Like, you gotta. Things happen. Things don't always work out perfectly, but if you're still getting guaranteed dollars, man, you have to. You gotta keep your end of the bargain.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that you got to hold your end of the deal up. That's a funny thing when you think about money. Of course, most people don't make NBA money, but even for like the average person, you could get a new job or a raise, and you'll be excited by that money. But then, shortly thereafter, it's not really that exciting anymore. It's just what you're used to, so it's not a thing that really will keep you happy or keep you motivated in your role. You really got to be happy with your surroundings and like really where you are. So that's funny how that even happens to people in James's spot. One of the things that I think is interesting, though, just listening to basketball media today, I like to watch Get Up and First Take and all those things, and how they're saying that the longer James Harden keeps doing this, that the more leverage that the less leverage that Houston is going to be able to have when it comes to trading him, because teams know that he's scoring, he's not going to play there anyway. So why break down their rosters, sacrifice their futures to get him? So that'll be interesting to see what actually the deal will be to get James out of there, because now it doesn't have to be that king's ransom as it was at first.
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. That's, like I said, I feel like they're just going to wise up to players that have been doing this. I know it's. I guess in the time that we've been watching basketball, more and more superstar level players have done it, and it's worked successfully. But I just think that the climate of the world and just different things going on, sometimes it's just done too flagrant, man. Like, I think I just don't think it's going to last. I think the players are going to lose. They're definitely going to lose some of their power, or some of the leverage that they have. And then secondly, when this new collective bargaining agreement comes through, I'm sure there's going to be some verbiage in there. Like, if you're going to, you know what I mean? If you're not going to uphold X, Y, and Z, and you're not hurt, and you're just going to, do X, Y, and Z, we won't have to pay you, or we'll be able to find you, or something like that. So I just don't think it's going to last. And yeah, like, if you have a player that you're trying to offload to someone else, even if they're a superstar, yeah, other teams that are negotiating with you could play hardball, and they'll know you're desperate. And now when a player does this, they're giving the other teams leverage. You know what I mean? So it's
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, man.
The thing that's also thing that's also interesting about this whole James situation is how his teammates, I feel like, are going to view him and look at him after this happens. These are guys who've been in the trenches with him. PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, all these guys who were close to winning the chip, or not winning the chip, but getting to the finals that year when they had the Warriors in game 7. And now for James just to kind of bail on those guys and be like, nah, y'all not it. We can't win. I'm out of here. So that'll be interesting to see how the league views him if he does get moved, and the way that he handled this, kind of punking out and saying, hey, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this no more. Trade me to a contender so I can win. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, man, and even to your point, like even how other players in the league that are fighting for a contract that make, in their entire career they won't make what James makes in a year. Not that they can necessarily do anything with him offensively or defensively on the court, but it essentially is going to make his job harder. Like if he, if it's prolonged, not just to me, not just with his teammates, but just anyone that goes at him. And then another piece of that is like that's cool. Like James is a generational talent. I don't think there's ever been any player like him in the NBA ever since I've been watching it, over 20 years. And I think that there's something to be said for like a guy that, is like this, but hasn't necessarily even won anything yet. Like James has never been to, as a starter, as a marquee player of a team, has never been to the Western Conference Finals even. You know what I mean? So like regular season, historically, whatever, he's great. He's going to be all-time great. Definitely going to the Hall of Fame. But he's not, you're not that nice at this point to like, you know what I mean? Like to feel like whatever team he's going to make whatever team he goes to better probably, but it's not like he's even a champion or has even come close to that possibility, aside from when he was sixth man with the OKC when they were super young. So yeah, I just think that he's got to just get in the trenches, man, and fight and I don't know.
Yeah, he has a lot of entitlement right now. But let
Yeah.
me ask you this. At the end of the day, where do you think he lands? Does he stay there? Does he land in Philly? Does he land in Brooklyn? What do you think's going to happen? What's your gut?
My gut is the way it's going and just just the way like the climate of the world is right now too, with like COVID and the bubble and just the NBA is already not making the kind of money that they were of course projecting, because of not having audience, having people in the stands and their arenas open and all that. I honestly think he's going to end up getting shipped somewhere he doesn't want to be. I honestly think that it's going to get to the point where they're going to do something that says, you know what, okay, you don't want to be here, go here, and just send them off into no man's land. I honestly think that's going to happen.
Send them to Timbuktu.
Pretty much. Honestly, that's how I feel. I feel like if he's being super petty like that, and I'm not saying this conversation isn't about whether he should feel that way or not, but that's just the reality of it. I think that's going to make them feel petty. And also because their owner, Tim Fertitta, he's not just some dude that inherited a bunch of money and is just a wealthy family. This dude is a hard worker, has a massive business. What he did, as a restaurateur and things like that. He's a very intelligent person. He's not someone that's used to being pushed around, especially by someone that's not even on his level from a business or financial aspect. Yes, again, James Harden is a historically great player and as a basketball player, but from a business perspective. You know what I mean? I'm even thinking about that. And Fertitta is very, I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
That's
he's
right.
He's a business minded person. So now you have essentially one of his businesses, someone that is a marquee part of one of his businesses acting this way. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, you know what? Okay, I got you. I just don't think that he's going to fold over and do what he wants, do what James Harden wants just because he's not happy. I just don't know that's how he rolls.
Yeah, billionaires don't get pushed around
Man.
by anybody. They like those guys have a certain amount of ego, right, for them to even get to that level, and they're used to winning and they're used to getting what they want. So it'll be interesting, but I think that he'll probably end up in Philly just because I hear Philly is interested in trading Ben Simmons for him. So if you can get Ben Simmons and get James out and everybody's happy and they can get a young star, somebody younger than James with a ceiling, I think that's where he's going to end up, even though I don't think that Ben Simmons is a good fit with Wall and Boogie and those guys. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
but
Ben Simmons.
I think he's going to end up in Philly.
Yeah, I think that would hurt Ben Simmons' career if that ended up happening.
Yeah, John Wall and Boogie going to be cussing him out.
Yeah, he too quiet. Like, nah. he gonna be asking to
get
from
Australia, man.
Take me out the game, coach. Exactly. Yeah, he's not ready for that. But yeah, so Philly, that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. I don't know how that will work
Yeah,
if James Harden was there, but
it'll be interesting to see what happens. Thanks for watching Get the Chip on YouTube. For full episodes, visit our website, getthechip.com.